All right, team, welcome to a special operations explainer. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to crack the lung cancer code for your board exams. We're about to stage a full-on heist on the most high-yield, most missed concepts out there. So let's get in, grab that knowledge, and get out clean.
But first, the mandatory briefing. Just remember, this is all for educational purposes, specifically for international medical exams. It is absolutely not medical advice. For any real-life clinical decisions, you always consult the official guidelines and, of course, a specialist oncologist. Okay, let's move.
Okay, mission is a go. Listen up. When we're talking about lung cancer, think of it as a hostile takeover. And the very first thing you need to figure out, the first logic gate you have to pass, is location, location, location. Is it central or is it out on the edges? This one piece of intel changes the entire game. So that's your first move in this whole diagnostic heist. You have to establish the tumor's location. Are we dealing with a central mass, something buried deep in the core of the lung near the main airways? Or is it a peripheral one, lurking out on the edges? This single clue dictates everything that comes next. And this right here simplifies the entire battlefield for you. Just think of central tumors as the direct legacy of smoking, all those carcinogens hitting the main bronchi first. That's your home turf for small cell and squamous cell. Now out on the periphery, those are your silent giants. That's where you're going to find adenocarcinoma. And here's a super important point. Even though we call adenocarcinoma the classic cancer in non-smokers, it's actually the most common type of lung cancer overall. Don't forget that. All right, let's move to the next logic gate, because this is where it gets tricky. Picture this. You've got two patients. Both are longtime smokers, and both have central masses on their chest x-rays. But they are caught in two totally different paraneoplastic storms. This is the exact kind of scenario where board exams love to trip you up. So the question is, do they get the same treatment? You might think so, right? Same risk factor, same location. But the answer is a hard no. On the surface, they look similar, but their underlying biology is launching two completely different chemical wars on the body. And bam, here's the master key. Your patient with high calcium, that's squamous cell carcinoma. It's pumping out a parathyroid hormone-related protein, or PTHrP, which is causing that hypercalcemia, the stones. Just remember the S shunt: squamous, smoker, central, stones. Easy. Your other patient, that's small cell. It's a neuroendocrine menace, secreting ACTH and causing Cushing's, and ADH causing the low sodium of SIADH. And here's the treatment pearl. Squamous can often be cut out, but small cell is almost always a non-surgical disease. You cannot mix these two up. But wait, hold on. Don't get complacent, because here's the next big trap. The USPSTF now recommends annual screening for high-risk folks between 50 and 80 years old. So you're going to be seeing a ton of these solitary pulmonary nodules. Now, the rookie move, the knee-jerk reaction, is to just biopsy everything. That is a one-way ticket to failing this question. No, here's the correct algorithm. You analyze its signature first. Does the calcification look like popcorn? That's a benign hamartoma, nothing to worry about. Does it have concentric circles, like tree rings? That's probably an old infection. So if the nodule is small and has these friendly-looking signatures, the most crucial next step is not a biopsy. It's to pull up old x-rays and see if it's been sitting there unchanged for years. Okay, we have officially cracked the logic for masses and nodules. Now, to make sure this stuff is burned into your brain for exam day, we're going to do a rapid-fire neural encoding session. I'm going to throw out the scenario. You lock in the answer. You ready? Let's do it. Okay, first one, a central mass with hypercalcemia. What is it?
That's squamous cell. It's pumping out that PTH-related protein, driving the calcium sky high. Next up, a central mass, but this time with SIADH or Cushing syndrome. Has to be small cell. It's that neuroendocrine chaos, spitting out ACTH and ADH.
What about a peripheral mass, especially if you find it in a non-smoker?
Adenocarcinoma. And don't forget, while it's the classic for non-smokers, it is still the #1 most common lung cancer overall.
All right, how about this classic triad? Shoulder pain, a droopy eyelid, that's ptosis, and a tiny constricted pupil, meiosis.
That's a Pancoast tumor. It's a tumor way up in the superior sulcus, at the very top of the lung. And it's pressing on all the nerves that cause that specific cluster of symptoms we call Horner syndrome.
And what about Lambert-Eaton myasthenic syndrome? Which cancer is that paraneoplastic syndrome tied to?
Small cell lung cancer. Yep, it's that neuroendocrine beast again, causing trouble all over the body. Okay, last one, and this is the most important lock to seal. What is the absolute first, most important step for any new solitary nodule you find? Compare with old X-rays. Don't you dare jump to that biopsy until you've proven it's actually new or growing. Stability is everything. And with that, the logic is sealed. The codes are cracked. Mission accomplished. Sector 8 is officially sealed. But remember, the empire of internal medicine is vast and full of traps. So get ready for our next mission. Sector 9, Neurology, begins now.